what was the point of drafting Jordan Love? Like, what was the point? What was the point? Because if you believe that Packers believed Aaron Rodgers had just like 1 or 2 good, decent years left, which is why Jordan Love is here. Now the Packers are saying, oh, it should have been, they basically were like, oh, Aaron, baby, please don't leave us. Do not go. Like, come back to us. And yet they drafted a QB. Like, this is part of the problem. That's why
why are you messing with that QB on the side if you want me to come back?
Right? That's why it's hard for me to say the Packers are the true winner. This is a win-win situation for them. It benefits them. But they put themselves in this bind and now are making concessions. And they have a QB that they can't use right now because they want this QB who they made upset, and now they have to convince him to come back another year. This has just been poorly handled from the jump.
Kimberly, you make a great point, and I understand absolutely what you're saying. But let me address the Columbia grad with the psychology major, because this dude is out of his damn
history major.
History major, but you try to act like psychology is your expertise. You are smart. You are a very smart individual, Max. I ain't trying to throw shade that way. But in this particular situation, you crazy as hell if you think that Aaron Rodgers is not the biggest winner. Max, you just said it. If he says jump, they say how high. In what regard is that not the guy running the show and the biggest winner in any situation? You saying we already knew that. I didn't. I did not think that the Green Bay Packers were going to concede all of this control to Aaron Rodgers. I understand that all quarterbacks have a lot of juice, and it's a particular tier of guys that we know if they say something, it's going to move in the way. But to give up everything? Green Bay just gave up everything, Max.
Well,
right? Like, and they still don't know. To your point, they got a year to convince him. They still don't know where they're going to be a year from now.
They can win the Super Bowl in that year, Marcus.
Max, what if they don't and he walks?
Better shot with
Rodgers. What if they don't? Everybody understands and agrees that having Aaron Rodgers is a better situation. But the question is, who is the real winner? The real winner is the player that just strong-armed an entire organization. That's the winner.
If you want to back up to the very beginning, you can argue that. But we're dealing with the facts as they existed in the last several weeks and the last couple months when we've been chopping this up. Now, I want to answer both the questions. One, what were they doing drafting Jordan Love, right? And because Aaron Rodgers in a new system turned into a game manager, had the worst year of his career by the eyeball test, and it wasn't clear, given his age and given the fact that he relies on athletic ability more than, say, someone like Tom Brady or Drew Brees, you would think, because he can move and he can do all these things that require, like, the athletic ability you would think of youth. They thought, wait, is he in decline? Do we need to make backup plans? But they're hedging their bets because maybe not. It turns out not. He just needed that year in a new system to learn it, and then he won the MVP. So that's why they draft Jordan Love. They bungled it. They messed that up, no question about it. But that's the rationale. It's not like I'm saying anything that we all don't know. And Marcus, Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, you're saying, how is he not winning because he just told the whole organization is that? The fact is, he wasn't going to play for them. He didn't want to play for them anymore. It's been reported and discussed and chopped up ad nauseum, right? He's out of there. He doesn't want to play. Not only do they have him now, but they have him under circumstances for a year where he's not having to be brought kicking and screaming. He's signed up. So he's committed to this year. You have a Super Bowl-ready team with a committed quarterback. That's a win. That's pulling a rabbit out of a hat.
Max, I'm not saying Green Bay didn't come out good in this situation. We're not having that conversation. Obviously, if you're paying attention, both sides got what they wanted ultimately. Green Bay got a great quarterback, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it, and a chance to win a Super Bowl. But we said, who is the real winner? The real winner is the player that organization pays to do a job, who just took a whole offseason and said, to hell with y'all until I become the ruler of all things in Green Bay. And you know what happened? He just became the ruler of all things in Green Bay.
He already was, he just didn't know it.
In particular, we got situations all over this league with owners, management, we got GMs, we got guys running organizations that would not have relented in this particular situation. We know some of the egos of some of the owners and general managers. Wait a second. All of the things that you said, Max, leading up to this point, Green Bay needs to go on television and apologize. They need to say, Aaron Rodgers is my guy. He's the guy that owns this organization. He's the general manager and decision maker. In what world is the player not the real winner when it becomes that situation, Max? In what world?
But that was the
in
case.
What league?
That was already the case. We already knew that. At least I did. We already knew that that's the case. What the Packers got out of it was another year of Rodgers.
Obviously, Green Bay didn't.
I will say
no,
this.
They didn't.
I will say this. To Marx's point, when I talked to NFL GMs and personnel execs, they said the Packers shouldn't do anything. The Packers have the leverage. Other teams felt the Packers had the leverage and should just sit there and let Aaron Rodgers be the one to sit out a season because he's under contract. The fact that they did not, the fact that they relented and now we're talking concessions, I think that points to the fact that Aaron Rodgers, who showed up with that devious grin yesterday and his little office sweatshirt, his little office T-shirt, he's the real winner. He knows exactly what he's doing.
It's easy for those GMs to talk tough when they don't have to
right.
deal. If he's playing for them, we'll see how tough they're talking.
Well, look, Green Bay,
all right, let's move on
Green
here.
Bay GM play quarterback, so he can say what the hell he want to say.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.